When I was a child, there was a rule in our village. No one was allowed to go out at night. They said that man-eating ghosts roamed the village after dark. One night, my uncle came back in the dark, looking shaken. "Dad," he whispered, "I think someone was following me." My grandpa's face darkened. That wasn't a person. It was a ghost. As soon as he said that, I heard the sound of footsteps clop, clop, clop. The night was deathly quiet, making the footsteps sound even more jarring. Judging by the sound, it wasn't far from our house. It wouldn't be long before the ghost entered the yard. Grandma slapped my uncle hard. "You useless thing," she scolded. "You worked in the city for 2 years and forgot all about the village rules. Now look what you've done, got a ghost on your tail. Let's see how you fix this." My uncle's panic grew and he sobered up a little. "Dad, Mom, think of something. Please, do something to save me." Grandma grumbled. "Why didn't you come back earlier? Why wait until it was dark?" My uncle replied anxiously. "I came back from the city, and some old buddies from the village dragged me out for drinks. I drank too much and forgot the rule." Grandma snapped. "Serves you right. No one's gonna save you." My uncle stomped his foot in frustration. "Mom, this is no time for that. Stop blaming me." Furious, Grandma shouted. "Anyone marked by a ghost is as good as dead. Your dad and I are too old. What can we do to save you? Why do you always make trouble?" Grandpa cut in. "Enough. Stop arguing. If you want to live, listen to me." After saying that, Grandpa took a couple of puffs from his pipe. His eyes were cloudy, his face expressionless. It was hard to tell whether he was angry or calm. Even his tone was unusually calm, as if the whole thing had nothing to do with him, like a bystander just watching. He looked at my uncle with the same cold, indifferent gaze, as if looking at a stranger. My uncle, growing more desperate, asked, "Dad, I'll do whatever you say. Just tell me what to do." Grandpa squinted slightly. "Woman, what time is it?" Grandma answered. "It's the hour of the ox." Grandpa's expression grew complicated. "Kill the chicken and the sheep. Let the ghost eat its fill first." We only had 1 chicken and 1 sheep in the yard, had them for so many years that I couldn't even remember when we got them. Grandma hesitated for a moment. "Old man, ghosts eat people. You think giving them chicken and mutton will work?" Grandpa took 2 more puffs from his pipe, coughed twice, and said, "If you want to survive, do as I say." Right after he spoke, we heard the footsteps again clop. Clop, clop. The sound was getting closer, like it was right at the gate. I glanced toward the entrance, pitch black. Nothing there. My uncle, trembling, whispered, "Dad, let's do what you said. Kill the chicken, slaughter the sheep. Hurry up before the ghost comes in." Grandpa nodded, picked up the axe from the ground, and walked to the chicken coop. The rooster inside was huge, its wingspan nearly a meter. The rooster gave Grandpa a sideways glance. Grandpa, his face grim, muttered, "You're just suffering by staying alive. Let me put you out of your misery." With that, he swung the axe and killed the rooster. Grandpa lifted the dead rooster out of the coop. "Woman, put the rooster in the pot and boil it. Take it out when the incense burns halfway." Grandma protested. "That short? It won't cook through." Just then, there was a loud bang from the sheep pen. The goat had slammed into the wall and killed itself. A hint of sadness flickered through Grandpa's cloudy eyes. Looking at the goat's body, he murmured, "Good, saves me the trouble." He then turned to my uncle. "Carry the goat out." My uncle rushed into the pen, grabbed the goat's horns, and tried to drag it out. Grandpa's face darkened. "I said carry it. Are you deaf?" My uncle flinched, looking aggrieved. "Dad, this old goat's got to weigh at least 300 or 400 pounds. I can't carry it. Besides, it's just a damn animal. Why should I carry it?" My grandpa shot my uncle a glare, gritting his teeth. "I told you to carry it out. If you don't listen, you can wait for the ghost to eat you." The mention of the ghost sent my uncle into a panic. He nodded frantically. I'll carry it, okay?" With that, my uncle struggled with all his strength to carry the old goat out of the pen. Its head banged against the ground, leaving a trail of blood. He set the goat down, and Grandpa squinted his eyes, holding a sharp knife in his hand. He looked at the goat's lifeless body and said, "I'll be quick. You won't suffer too much." After saying that, Grandpa used the knife to skin the goat. The bloody hide was still steaming. Grandpa asked. Woman, did you take the chicken out? Grandma nodded. I did. Grandpa asked again. Is the water still hot? She nodded again. It's hot, but there are a lot of feathers in it. Grandpa raised the axe and chopped the old goat into several big chunks, blood splattering across his face. His expression was grim. Quick, put the mutton in the pot to boil. The ghost is coming. My uncle hurriedly took the mutton to the pot. Grandma, looking puzzled, asked, Old man, how long do we boil it for? Grandpa squinted, then walked to the storage room and brought out 18 sticks of incense, lighting them one by one. Boil it until the incense burns out, Grandpa said. Just as he finished, I heard 2 sharp clops. I looked up and saw an old woman standing at the gate. She was bone-thin, her face ashen, staring straight into the yard. My uncle nearly jumped out of his skin. He hid behind Grandpa and stammered, Gee, ghost. Grandpa said, Don't panic. First, give her the chicken to satisfy her hunger. The mutton can only be served when the incense burns out. Got it? As soon as Grandpa finished speaking, the old woman stepped into the yard. Her back was hunched, and she walked painfully slow, exuding an eerie chill. She looked at my uncle and said, Young man, I've lived in this village for decades, waiting for my son to come back. But all these years, I haven't seen a single trace of him. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have known how much longer I'd have to wait. After saying that, she grinned, revealing a mouthful of sharp, white teeth. It was chilling. My uncle's legs went weak, and he almost collapsed on the spot. Seeing my uncle's fear, the old woman's grin grew even wider. She hobbled a few more steps forward, stopping about a meter away from Grandpa. She smiled and said, Young man, I haven't eaten for decades. I'm so hungry. Please, give me a bite to eat. Her face was ghostly pale, like a corpse that had been soaking in a river for days. That pallor was terrifying. She looked like a living ghost. Grandpa, expressionless, said, Woman, bring out the chicken. Grandma brought out the chicken from the storage room. It was whole, still covered in feathers and streaked with blood, clearly not cooked through. Grandma caught sight of the old woman and visibly flinched. Her hands trembled as she held the iron basin, and she quickly set the whole chicken on the table before backing away several steps. The old woman's eyes lit up when she saw the chicken. A glimmer of green flashed in her gaze. She reached out to eat it, but Grandpa slapped the basin out of her hands. The chicken tumbled to the ground, rolling in the dirt. The old woman shot Grandpa a sinister glare. Grandma tugged on Grandpa's arm and whispered, Old man, are you trying to get us killed? That's a man-eating ghost. Grandpa's face remained stern. Beasts don't get to sit at the table. That's the rule of the village. The old woman glared at Grandpa fiercely. Then she knelt down and started picking the chicken off the ground, eating it bit by bit. As she ate, she stared at the people in the yard, almost as if she weren't eating chicken at all. Every so often, a strange, chilling laugh gurgled from her throat. It didn't take long before she finished the entire chicken bones and all. Not a single scrap remained. She patted her stomach and, with that unsettling grin, said, Hungry. I'm still so hungry. Young man, bring out the mutton from your house. Let me have a few bites, and I'll be on my way. The moment she finished speaking, my uncle blurted out anxiously, Dad, hurry up and give her the mutton. Let's get her out of here. Grandpa shot him a glare, his voice sharp. The 18 sticks of incense aren't burned out yet. She can't have the mutton. My uncle stomped his foot anxiously, his voice rising in frustration. Dad, she said she'd leave after eating the mutton. Just let her go. Grandpa shook his head. No, ghosts are the best liars. She's tricking you. No sooner had Grandpa finished speaking than the old woman appeared right next to my uncle. She was so close that he could feel her presence. Her mouth opened, letting out a chilling laugh. But it didn't sound like an old woman's laugh at all. It was more like that of a young woman. Her face was ghostly pale as she craned her neck forward, whispering into my uncle's ear, Your father is a selfish man. He doesn't care if you live or die. Don't listen to him. He's trying to get you killed. There was something deeply unsettling about her. Her voice was ethereal, almost hollow, sending chills down my spine. Especially those sharp white teeth, they looked like they were made for devouring. My uncle's eyes went blank. Without a word, he turned and walked towards the storage room. The old woman remained where she stood, laughing that eerie laugh. Her shoulders shook with each chuckle. Grandpa's face drained of color. He rushed to block my uncle's path, grabbing him by the shoulders. "Kyle, wake up! You're under the ghost spell! She's trying to kill you!" But it was like my uncle couldn't even hear him. He kept walking toward the storage room. Grandpa desperately pulled at his arm, and Grandma joined in to help. But suddenly, my uncle seemed to have gained an incredible amount of strength. He shook them both off with ease. My uncle went into the storage room and came out with the mutton. It was still steaming, streaked with blood. The 18 sticks of incense had only burned halfway nowhere near finished. Grandpa struggled to his feet and shouted, "Kyle, wake up! The incense isn't burned out yet." But my uncle seemed deaf to his voice. He placed the mutton on the table, and the old woman grabbed it, stuffing it into her mouth. The 18 sticks of incense extinguished instantly. The old woman chuckled darkly, chewing on the mutton as she stared at us. Grandpa's voice was trembling. "Hurry, hurry inside!" Grandpa yanked us into the east room and locked the door behind us. My uncle snapped out of his daze, looking around with fear in his eyes. "Dad, what happened? What's going on?" Grandpa, furious, stomped his foot and kicked my uncle hard. "You damn fool! This is all your fault! Are you trying to get the whole village killed?" My uncle looked confused. "Dad, what are you talking about? What did I do?" He had no memory of what had just happened. Grandpa sighed deeply, his eyes filled with helplessness. Grandma, shaking with fear, asked, "Old man, it's come to this. What do we do now?" Grandpa's expression grew heavy. "The ghost has been in this village for decades, searching for her son. If we help her find him, this will be over." My uncle furrowed his brow. "Dad, it's pitch dark out there. How are we supposed to find her son?" Grandpa squinted, his expression tense. "Tonight, the ghost will knock on the door 3 times. The first time, she will ask for Luke to help her find her son's clothes." Before Grandpa could finish, Grandma interrupted. "No way! Luke is only 6. He can't go out there. I'll go in his place." Grandpa shook his head. "No, it has to be Luke." Grandma paused for a few seconds, stunned. "Why?" she asked, confusion written all over her face. Grandpa's expression was grim. "If you want to live, listen to me." Grandpa then turned to look at me. "Luke, don't be afraid. As long as you remember what I tell you, the ghost won't be able to hurt you." I stared back at Grandpa and whispered, "What should I remember?" Grandpa's gaze was steady. "In a little while, you will lead the ghost to the mass grave on the back hill. There's an old, dried-up well there. Inside that well, there's a red piece of clothing. You have to bring it back within half an hour. And remember, no matter what you hear or see, do not talk to the ghost. Understand?" I nodded firmly. "I understand." No sooner had I spoken than Grandma's face filled with worry. "Old man, the mass grave is filled with restless spirits, especially that dried-up well. So many people have died there. Luke is only 6. I'm afraid it'll scare him to death." Grandpa's expression was solemn. "There's no other choice. It has to be Luke." Grandma's voice was shaky. "Old man, is there any other way? Can't we just block the door and not open it?" Grandpa shook his head. "No. If we don't open the door, the ghost will break in, and we'll all die." As soon as he said that, there was a heavy knock at the door. Thump, thump, thump. From outside, the ghost's chilling voice called out, "Young man, my son's clothes are missing. I want Luke to help me find them." The moment I heard that voice, a cold shiver ran down my spine. I instinctively took 2 steps back. Grandpa grabbed my shoulders. He said, "Luke, don't be afraid. Remember what I told you. Don't talk to the ghost, and it won't be able to hurt you. Get the clothes and come right back. Don't delay. No matter what the ghost says, don't listen. Do you understand?" I nodded. "I understand." Grandpa opened the door to the east room just a crack and pushed me outside. I looked up and saw the old woman's ghastly face. She grinned at me, her mouth full of blackened teeth. It was terrifying. My legs went weak, and I collapsed onto the ground. Seeing my fear, the old woman sneered and asked, "Luke, how old are you?" She was deliberately trying to make me talk. I quickly clapped my hands over my mouth, stopping myself from saying anything. When she saw that I wasn't responding, her grin faded. Her expression turned dark, and her eyes glinted with malice, as if she wanted to devour me whole. I didn't dare look at her anymore. I was terrified of seeing something even worse. I turned my face away and scrambled up from the ground, heading for the gate. The old woman followed beside me. Her voice was hollow and eerie, sending chills down my spine. "Luke, do you know the way to the back hill?" she asked. I kept my head down, watching the path under my feet, pretending I didn't hear her. When I stayed silent, the old woman suddenly placed her hand on my shoulder, and my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. My heart was pounding in my throat. Her hand on my shoulder was deathly white and icy cold. I started trembling uncontrollably, cold sweat breaking out across my back. She seemed to sense my fear, and spoke with a hint of satisfaction. "Luke, how much farther is it to the back hill? If you just say a word, I'll let you go back, and I'll go to the back hill by myself." She leaned her head down as she spoke, her face coming dangerously close to mine, but I didn't dare look at her because I saw the shadows on the ground. Next to me, there was a shadow of a head, a twisted, elongated neck stretching out behind it. Just seeing the shadow made me tremble all over. Seeing that I wouldn't speak, the old woman moved even closer. I shut my eyes tightly, refusing to look. I could feel her breath. I knew she was right in front of me, waiting for me to open my eyes. I kept my eyes shut, and cautiously kept moving forward. After a while, I felt her presence withdraw. Only then did I dare to open my eyes. As soon as I opened them, the old woman's voice turned pitiful. "I know my son is dead. The villagers have been hiding it from me. My son died in that dried-up well on the mass grave behind the hill. He was murdered, and his body was never found. I searched for him for so many years. Luke, are you taking me to the mass grave?" She had only spoken a few words when tears started streaming down her face. The night was eerily quiet, making her sobs sound even more piercing. I clapped my hand over my mouth, staring at the ground, forcing myself to stay silent. Seeing that I wouldn't respond, she continued crying. "My son was murdered. I know who did it, but I can't find his house. Luke, can you take me to his house? I'm begging you." She wept sorrowfully, her cries chilling, like the wails of a ghost. I glanced into the distance. There were still 700 or 800 meters to the back hill. Grandpa had said I had to make it within half an hour. I'd already wasted too much time on the way. I had to move faster. I quickened my pace, heading straight for the back hill. The old woman hurried to catch up, calling out as she walked. "Luke, slow down. I'm old. I can't keep up." I ignored her and broke into a jog. But I hadn't run far when I stumbled and fell hard to the ground, scraping my knees. The old woman stood beside me, chuckling darkly. "You can't run," she said. "You can only walk." I picked myself up from the ground and tried running again, only to fall hard. The path was clear, there was nothing to trip me, but I just couldn't run. The old woman stared at me with unblinking eyes, a green glimmer shining in her gaze. She said, "Luke, how much farther to the back hill? Say just one word, and I'll let you go home." Her eyes glimmered with a strange malevolence as she spoke, making her look terrifying. Her pupils were cloudy and dark, impossible to read. I picked myself up again and walked toward the back hill. The old woman followed beside me, cackling. "Luke, this is the 9th time I've seen you. Do you remember me?" I stopped for a moment, staring at her in confusion. The old woman grinned at me and asked, "You really don't remember?" Instinctively, I shook my head. Seeing me react, the old woman grew smug. She chuckled and asked, "Luke, how old are you? Tell me, and I'll give you some candy." Her voice was hollow and eerie. Her eyes locked onto me. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a few candies. Her hand was thin and skeletal, with long black nails. It was terrifying to look at. I didn't say a word and just walked faster toward the back hill. After what felt like forever, I finally arrived at the mass grave. The place was scattered with dead chickens and ducks, and countless unmarked graves. It was bleak and eerie. I walked carefully through the mass grave, searching for the dried-up well. The old woman followed me closely, chanting my name like a ghostly echo. "Luke! Luke! Luke!" Her constant whispering grated on my nerves. I wanted her to stop, but she kept whispering right in my ear. "Luke! Luke! What are you looking for?" I scanned my surroundings carefully, but there was no sign of the dried-up well Grandpa had mentioned. I remembered it clearly. It was big and obvious. How could it not be here? Where is the well? I stomped my foot in frustration, anxiety bubbling up inside me. I wanted to scream, to shout, to just run back. But the old woman's voice crept back into my ear. Luke, what are you looking for? What are you searching for? Her voice was driving me crazy. I almost opened my mouth to speak when I suddenly heard an ouch! I looked up and saw the old woman standing next to the dried up well, about 7 or 8 meters away. Her face was twisted, her eyes glimmering with that eerie light, staring right at me. My back went cold with sweat. No wonder I couldn't find the well I had been caught in a ghost's trick. Just as I was about to head toward the well, I heard rustling in the woods. Tony emerged, one hand clutching his back as he walked, muttering, "Damn it, my old back! Nearly broke it!" Tony finished speaking and finally saw me. He looked confused. "Luke? What are you doing here at the mass grave in the middle of the night? Where's your grandpa?" I shook my head fearfully. I couldn't speak. Seeing I wasn't talking, Tony turned his gaze to the old woman. "Ma'am, I don't think I've seen you before. What are you doing here at the mass grave?" The old woman smiled widely, her eyes glimmering with greed, like she was ready to devour him. Tony must have sensed something was wrong too, because he suddenly turned and started running down the hill in a panic. The old woman's face twisted into a sinister grin as she slowly followed him down the hill. It looked like she was chasing after him. I broke out in a cold sweat and hurried to the dried-up well. The well was filled with yellow dirt, and on top of it, just like Grandpa had said, was a red piece of clothing. I picked it up and examined it. It was a red burial shroud. The sight of it sent chills down my spine. I clutched the shroud tightly and rushed back down the hill. On the way back, there was no sign of the old woman. I noticed I was walking faster without her presence. But as soon as I reached the entrance of the village, I saw her again. Blood was smeared around her mouth, and Tony's blood-stained clothes were lying on the ground. When the old woman saw me, her eyes glimmered with that strange light. She smiled and asked, "Luke, did you find the well?" I didn't answer, clutching the shroud tightly and continuing toward home. The old woman followed behind, calling out to me, "Luke, wait for me. Don't walk so fast." After she said that, her voice turned pitiful. "Luke, my son is dead. All I have left is this one piece of clothing he wore. Please, just give it to me. I want something to remember him by." I held the shroud tightly, afraid she would try to snatch it from me. I picked up my pace, marching toward home. Suddenly, the old woman blocked my path. Her expression grew visibly angry, her eyes dark and sinister.